Philadelphia has it.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media Live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button right there on YouTube. And yes, I thought it was obvious, but I got to remind everybody, if you want to interact with the show, you can only do it on Facebook or YouTube. We prefer you to do it on YouTube. If you comment on Twitter, I am not ignoring you. Sorry, Jake. I'm not ignoring you. I thought you hated me, but you're commenting every day on the show on YouTube. I thought you knew better than that. You can't comment on your Twitter, or you're commenting on Twitter, and I don't know it. You got to comment on YouTube for me to see it. Good morning, everybody. I'm Phil Stifle at Bearded Knowledge. That's Dylan Davis. Dylan, I thought everybody knew Twitter comments didn't come through anymore.
This has been going on for like a year, man. Twitter used to be cool with StreamYard. We used to be able to see if you're watching, if you're commenting through StreamYard on Twitter. Not so much anymore. Like Phil said, only on the Facebook or YouTube page. And we greatly appreciate it if you head on over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, and comment through.
Hey, I appreciate you watching on Twitter. I really do. Like, if you watch on Twitter, great, fantastic.
Well, we can't
plug us into your phone. Like, plug your phone into your car. You can listen to us on the go. Whatever. We just can't see those comments over there on Twitter. I am not ignoring you, okay? Not just Jake, anybody else that's watching and commenting over there. I'm not ignoring you. We got so much to talk about, Dylan. We were texting last night. I'm like, you're like, what's the agenda? I'm like, I don't know. There's so much to jump into. And then Gene Segura hits a walk-off hit last night, which just throws more into the equation.
Yeah.
And yesterday during the day, I was starting to think about topics for the day. And I think all these topics that we have to talk about today kind of lead into the lead topic that I wanted to talk about today. And that's what coaches in Philadelphia are under the most pressure. We have 5 professional sports teams. Yes, we do have 5. Okay. There's 5 of them. And which coaches, I don't want to use the term hot seat per se, but which ones are, under the most pressure to succeed now? Not big picture, not long term, but right now. So I made a quick graphic. I'll put it up a couple times throughout the show. This is how I've got it. I got Glenn, don't call me Doc Rivers, under the most pressure. And now with another signing yesterday, which we're going to get into a second, Montrezl Harrell, that's even more pressure to put on him. Rob Thompson, I think, is under. I almost put Rob Thompson number 1, and I'll get into why in a second. I put Nick Sirianni 3 on this list because I honestly think he is not on any pressure. I think if anything goes wrong this year, it'll be blamed on Jalen Hurts, and Nick Sirianni would get another year, and then he would be on the hot seat. John Tortorella, I put 4. There's really no pressure there. The Flyers stink. He's not expected to turn it around. And I put Jim Curtin last, the coach of the Philadelphia Union, because I don't know about you, Dylan, but the Philadelphia Union can do no wrong in the Union fans' eyes. So there's literally no pressure on the coach of the best team in Philadelphia right now. Do you agree with my rankings of those 5 coaches on the pressure list there?
No, and for the last reason, for the thing you just brought up, because your number 5 is my number 2.
Oh, wow.
I'm not gonna come out and act like I'm the biggest Duke fan, like I'm the biggest Union fan. I don't catch a lot of the games, don't get me wrong, but I do know that the Union at the moment are quite possibly the most successful team in this city and have been for the last 3+ seasons, right? So when you bring that into the equation, that, like, I get it, right? If the fan base feels like they can do no wrong, feels like he can do no wrong, his job isn't in jeopardy. But to me, when you're winning, when you're good, when you're at the top of your league, with that becomes the expectation of getting to the next level. And with being as talented and having the winning culture that the Union has right now, they are now expected to take that next step to championship level and winning a championship. That brings a lot of pressure.
I don't even know what the championship's called in soccer.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Am I bad to say? I mean, I've watched probably 4 or 5 games this year. I haven't been to a game this year.
I've caught a few.
I've caught a few. I've been to about probably half a dozen games over the last 5 years. I know a little bit. What I keep thinking the Calder Cup, but that's hockey, I think. I don't even know.
It is.
I don't even know what the MLS, I think it's called the MLS Cup, actually, now that I'm talking it out. Yeah, I get what you're
Well, they
saying.
lost to who last year? New York, right? They lost.
They had literally like 9 starters on the
Yeah,
COVID
yeah,
list
yeah.
last year. Literally, almost their entire starting lineup was out with
Mhm.
COVID for the championship game. So that was that. And then the year before, they didn't win the MLS Cup, but they won some other tournament because there's
Mhm.
other tournaments amongst the year. So they've been a really good team for a couple of years. But I put them so low on the list just because you know the Union are kind of like the Flyers in the sense where they're super hardcore
They're a
fans.
niche. They're a niche sport.
They're niche,
Yeah.
niche, type thing. And the
Niche.
people that niche, whatever. I pronounce things wrong all the time.
I don't know.
I don't know, but they're diehards. Like if they make it to the playoffs and lose in the championship game, they're just going to be. They're I don't know. I almost feel like they're happy with whatever happens. And they don't. They're not going to be like calling for somebody's head if they lose in the championship game again.
But
Maybe
that's
if they
odd
like
to me, right?
it's really odd. But it's kind of the same with the Flyers. The Flyers, the Flyers are passionate and they call for heads, but they always call for the same heads: the coach or the GM. That's it. Their players can do no wrong. And those really diehard Flyers fans that sell out that arena every single year, no matter how bad they are, it's not going to happen anymore. But
No.
I'm getting at you remember what the Flyers have been like over the last 10 or 12 years. Flyers fans, you can never bash the Flyers unless you're part of their inner circle. You know what I mean? So,
well, that was that was a war in Philly Sports Talk Radio.
Absolutely.
Like, because they don't get talked about and no, it's hard, man. It like, no offense. I love the Flyers. Not, it's a tough love right now when they play the way they had the last 2 seasons, but it's hard to like have long conversations unless you're a hockey diehard. So when you bring that into the equation, and when you also bring in that they're the 4th or 5th in this city that's so heavily Eagles, Sixers, Phillies dominated, there's not a lot of time to talk about them.
No,
and that was a big thing going on for the last couple of years between strictly Flyers fans. And when I talk about Flyers fans, I mean only Flyers fans. I'm a Flyers fan, but I'm a 4-for-4, 5-for-5 guy. Those are only hockey fans, and they get upset when they're not discussed enough. Right. With that being said, they're my number 5 on the list.
Okay, so you got Jim Curtin 2, you got the Flyers, John Tortorella 5 on the list, and I almost put Curtin 4, Tortorella 5. I wasn't sure which way. It was kind of a last second decision. So where do you got the other guys, Rivers, Thompson, and Sirianni on the list?
So I've Doc at 1. I agree with you there. Yeah, he is under the most pressure.
Once you give me the rest of your list, we'll start with Doc, and we'll dive into these other 3 coaches and teams here, what's going on lately with them.
Doc 1, Curtin 2, Nick 3, Rob Thompson 4, John Tortorella 5.
Man, I can't wait to talk about the Rob Thompson one then. Because I really think I almost put Rob Thompson number 1 on my list.
Nah, no way, man.
Let's just instead of going Doc Rivers, let's go Rob Thompson. Because I really want to talk. Obviously, the Phillies had a really nice walk-off win last night, 3-2. They needed that win coming off of the really ugly taste of the West Coast trip. They needed that win last night. There was no doubt about it. And it was a struggle. Aaron Nola pitched good. I mean, I don't think he pitched as well as his box score. I watched a lot of that game last night. I don't think
he had a rough 4th inning, 3rd or 4th inning.
Early in the game, he had a rough inning, but I mean, he was only able to get through 6 2/3 innings.
I believe so.
I mean, he wasn't putting. I mean, I know he struck out a lot of guys. He got his 200 strikeout, tied for second in most seasons with 200 plus strikeouts in a season now in Phillies history. I don't know. There just seemed like he was laboring a little bit out there. It was a muggy, wet night out there. I don't know. There could have been a lot going into it, but he still pitched well. He rebounded better than his, last start. Yeah. Gene Segura, huge clutch hit there to do it, to walk it off. But against that Marlins team, against that pitcher for the Marlins, again, another unknown type young pitcher giving the Phillies struggles offensively. I mean, they had 6 hits last night, 2 by Sosa, who shouldn't even have been in the lineup to begin with, which is Rob Thompson getting lucky. He got lucky that Sosa was the main hero of the night last night.
Press that button, Phil. Press that right button.
He presses the right button all the time. Rob Thompson is under a massive amount of pressure for me because he is the interim manager. he needs to earn that. He wants to earn. He needs to earn that full-time gig going into next season. So that to me puts not only like however the season falls, whatever happens, we make the playoffs, we don't. We win a playoff series, we don't. The results of this season are going to directly affect whether he's given the job next year. It's not like he's going if Glenn or Doc Rivers, whatever you want to call him, if we don't win the title next year, he's still under a contract. So they would have to actually fire him. Rob Thompson could just not be brought back. He could just not have his contract extended. He is basically a lame duck at this point. So that's why I put him so high on the list, because he is fighting for his career at this point.
Yeah. I disagree because I think he's already got the job locked up from a Phillies.
Oh, that's a load of horse.
Not for me. I promise you.
Are you going to turn red to argue this?
I'm not talking about from me. He's done enough for me. I'm telling you, the Phillies are bringing him back next year. So I think he's already got it locked up from a front office team point of view. And I'll give him the Jim Curtin point of view that you gave earlier in terms of the fan base. He could do no wrong at this point. The fan base you talked to 99, not to you, 99% of the fan base, he could do no wrong with. So I don't think there's much pressure on Rob Thompson at all for the fact that he is an interim. They have exceeded expectations as to where the season was headed in early June. And I just think it might not be right. If they miss the playoffs, that's going to be a disastrous, yet another September collapse. I think he's back. He hasn't yet done enough for me. I think they need to get into the playoffs for him to do that. You think he probably needs to win a playoff series for him to do that. But I think from the Phillies organization, the way he's galvanized the troops, the way he's gotten the most this run out of these guys, I think he's just already definitively back. I don't think there's pressure on him right now.
Maybe I'm biased because you don't see it that way, but I am really over the. I don't want to say I'm over the top about it, but I really have not seen enough out of Rob Thompson.
That's fair.
I'm one of the 1%ers that is not a Rob Thompson.
Nor should you have. He's only been a manager for 2.5 months. That's not enough out of anybody.
Out of 25, 30 years as a coach. He's
right. Yeah, that's fair.
Time. I talked about it earlier this week. After the Giants loss on Sunday, he was in his locker room in his office in the locker room talking about the loss in the post-game press conference, and he just looked so blah.
He does look like an older gentleman.
And then when he was asked about a specific play about sending somebody or the Giants sending somebody, I don't even remember what the exact situation was now at this point. But when he got to talk about making that decision, well, I spent a lot of time as a third base coach and this and this and this, all of a sudden talking about being a third base coach energized him. And he was like this whole different person because that's what he knows. He knows how to be that assistant. He knows how to be that second or third in control. He does not know how to lead the top. He has made plenty of mistakes with the bullpen. I know the bullpen is ravaged with injuries. And I think we are going to really, really struggle this week and next week, even though we got some easy games. David Robinson, great pickup, but we're burning him out already, and you can see it. Brad Hand is a 6th-inning guy. He's being forced into an 8th-inning guy. Again, another time he brings in Alvarado for 1 out, and then so you basically burn your bullet there for 1 out. He is not managing the bullpen well. And if this was Joe Girardi managing this bullpen, the injuries wouldn't be given as an excuse. That he would be told he doesn't know how to manage a bullpen. Mm-hmm. Rob Thompson gets the injuries is why he doesn't know how to manage the bullpen.
It's not fair, man.
There's a double standard there from what Joe Girardi did to what Rob Thompson is doing.
Yeah, and I think the fan base kind of goes over this grace period with every transition, right? Because and most fan bases probably do. When Gabe was ran out of here and Joe was brought in, Joe could do no wrong. And things that Joe was doing right off the bat, if Gabe pulled those moves, Gabe would be getting crucified at the moment. So it's kind of like a grace period where it's just a breath of fresh air. It's a new face. They feel better about it, so on and so forth. If he's here next year making these mistakes, I'm sure you'll hear all about it. But I really do think he already has it locked up. And the 2.5 months of managing a baseball team should not be enough for anybody. But I do think it's almost enough to warrant one more year. I'll give you the Jalen Hurts experience. Did we see enough out of Jalen Hurts last year? No, but it was enough to warrant one more year. Now, obviously, one is a 24, 25-year-old trying to be a franchise quarterback.
I'll give everybody the counter. Pete Buchanan was an interim manager, and we didn't get to the playoffs, but he kind of did okay as the interim. So they gave him one more year, and then guess what? He stunk as a manager. You know what I mean? So it doesn't always
I think
favor.
I know that we've discussed this a couple last week, but I think Rob Thompson has done much more than just okay in his time as an interim. Don't get me wrong; they've taken their lumps and bruises in the last 2 months.
If you take that first 12 to 14 game stretch,
I get it, but
take that 14-1 stretch out, whatever it was, he's only been average outside of that stretch.
I get it, but they were 21-28, 21-29 when he was brought in, and they're currently on a 90+ win pace, and they're sitting in the second wild card still. Yeah. Even after that dreadful week that I don't even want to discuss, they have not lost any ground in terms of the wild card. They in a way have gained half.
Actually, they gained half last night because it's now a 3-game lead over the
Brewers.
Yeah. We're tied with the Padres now, and the Mets have been caught by the Braves.
Collapse.
I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes.
Another Mets epic collapse. Another mistake I want. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, I was just going to say, never mind. They ended up, when I went to bed, it was 5-1. So the Padres ended up coming back. I was almost ready to say the Padres are a freaking mess at the moment, but they won that game. So I'll give them a pass for this morning.
Talk about Rob Thompson with the bullpen usage. We talk about everything else. What's up with Zach Wheeler? I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Zach Wheeler again this season, Joe.
He threw yesterday, and was fine. What?
Were there reports from?
Yeah. So Sir Anthony threw off the mound against hitters yesterday at the ballpark. He gave a thumbs up after. And then Wheeler long tossed and threw in the outfield yesterday and was fine.
So not even off of that.
Not yet, no.
Okay. All right.
And we haven't even discussed Nick Castellanos on the 10-day IL. So that's fantastic.
You might not see Nick Castellanos this year. We got some serious issues right now.
I know. And this is my point, though, right, Phil? Wait, this is my point.
Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto.
You do.
Bryce Harper barely making it to second on that play last night, not hustling.
Well, he thought he popped
we've
out.
Never seen Bryce Harper not hustle before.
He got there. But here's my point. I get it. You still have a couple other guys, right? But we could talk about the bullpen all we want, and they're shorthanded. But if Joe Girardi was here, yada 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 yada. This whole team throughout his time this summer has been depleted by it. Like, they just can't get over it, dude. They can't. They've lost 2 starting pitchers at one time. Now they lost their ace. They lost Castellanos. They missed Bryce for 2 months. They missed Gene for 8 weeks. They've been so depleted by injury. It's really tough not to give him somewhat of a curve on this grade at the moment.
Yeah. See, I just look at the finer points. I look at Bryson Stott not being in the lineup last night. Why?
You're right, but if Bryson Stott's in that lineup, the Phillies, they might lose that game.
Yeah, you might, but he got lucky.
I get it. The logic isn't there when you look at the numbers Stott's hitting against lefties. Stott's able to hit lefties at a high clip. Why are you putting Sosa in? Last night specifically,
I think it's the second. You're
right. He got lucky, but Sosa not only hit a home run that put him up 1-0 and obviously contributed to the lead. He doubled and walked as well, so he was on base multiple times. I'll give him a pass for that one last night. But to bring it all back around, I think Rob Thompson has little to no pressure on him at the moment. In terms of
we'll move on to the Sixers and the Eagles here in a second. A little joke. It means nothing. I don't hear anything about it. But there's a moment during Gene Segura's celebration last night. If you go back and watch it, okay, that he's starting to shake everybody's hands and fist pump and chest bump and stuff, and he goes by Rob Thompson, and Rob Thompson sticks out his hand, and he just walks right by Rob Thompson. I'm surprised somebody didn't find that little clip, and Rob Thompson looks back at him like, yo, you just left me hanging here. But I'm surprised somebody didn't find that little clip and say, "Oh, Gene Segura and Rob Thompson."
Feuding. That's actually pretty funny. But dude, I
don't have a TiVo or a way to go back and rewind stuff. You go back and watch it. he literally blows Rob Thompson off. But I just think he was just so like fired
in the
up.
moment.
He just had 2 buckets of Gatorade dumped on him,
Yeah.
a headset blown. So much just happened. It was just an accident. But you look at Rob Thompson's face, and he's like, "Yo, you just blew me off,
really,
man.
bro?
Come on, now. Really?
No,
Really?
listen, you're surprised that no one called that. I'm surprised that people keep putting runner-ons to get the Gene in extra innings or with the game on the line, because no one has had more walk-off hits than Gene Segura in the last 2 seasons.
Am I crazy to say this? And I've said this before on this show, that I'm okay if they bring Gene Segura back next year.
100%. I want Gene Segura back outside of if the Trey Turner rumor was real, or if they had any chance at like
Alexander. Than spend big money on Trey Turner, move on from Gene Segura, and ignore the pitch, because you're only probably
it's not ignoring the pitching
game guy this year. So either you got to go. I'd rather that money be spent on a top of the line starter.
Yeah,
if you can only spend it on one person.
Yeah, if you can only spend on one person, sure, but you're already over. What they did this offseason tells me that they're not just going to take their foot back off the gas pedal next offseason when they were already over the tax.
Right.
So Turner, Turner's a difference maker. Like, Turner is a 315 average, can hit for power, can snag 40, 45 bases a year, can be that leadoff hitter. He's an all-star. He's a winner. So, yeah, I think he is a difference maker. But that's really probably the only one that I'm like, you know what? If he comes here, Gene's got to go. But outside of that, I want Gene back.
Okay, that's fair enough. You mentioned stealing the bags there. Another one random point here. You say, why do people keep hitting or walking people to get the Gene? Why do people keep running on JT Realmuto?
Dude, it makes zero sense.
Dude, I get fired up when he throws runners out at second base.
Yeah. Like, the one last night, Phil. The one last night was
fun. Two of them fired me up really big.
I think it was like the 6th inning, possibly. It wasn't close, dude. Like, this kid was halfway down the baseline and was just a sit and duck. Like, it was worse than Rhys Hoskins trying to get to second base last night on a pass ball or whatever and being a sitting duck. So Rhys is a slug.
Yeah.
Heavy feet. That one.
He's got some cinder blocks in his shoes right there.
Yeah, heavy feet.
All right. So that's the Philly. That's why. Look, all that we just talked about. It's why I put pressure. I think he's on the pressure meter there. We disagree on that. I actually like this. We disagree a lot on this list here. All right, so
we're about to start really agreeing in a second.
Yeah, we're about to start agreeing with Glenn. Don't call me Doc Rivers is under the most pressure. And let's talk. We haven't talked Sixers on the show in like probably a month now, because
the Kevin Durant rumor was the last time, and before that was the first time in like a month and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Which there's still a chance Kevin Durant comes through. You never know. You never know. The Sixers signed Montrezl Harrell to be the backup center for Joel Embiid last year. Some people love it. Some people hate it.
Love it.
I just say, I don't care. I mean, people are freaking out because of the B-ball Paul Reed. Everybody loves Paul Reed.
Let's talk about it.
Everybody loves Charles Bassey. Look, guys, if they were so good,
my freaking God.
Yeah, I know. Come on now. Look, this is a legit backup center. This is a guy that's been 6th man of the year. I'll bite it, a couple of years ago.
It was only 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's a couple. A couple is 2.
Well, dude, sometimes it's like he was 6th man of the year in 2015, and it's like, all right, well, come on, he's a little past.
2 years ago is 2 years ago, Dylan.
A
couple is 2, just so you know. A few is 3. All right. Do we have to describe or give definitions to the adjectives here?
It wasn't 6.
He is going to be the backup center. We've seen over time the evolution of the backup center position here with the Sixers. It started with Amir Johnson and Al Horford. We got Dwight Howard mixed in there. We got last year we had
Andre Drummond,
Drummond, and DeAndre Jordan. Like, they keep changing this and all. And the reason why this is so important is, look, if Harrell cannot guard certain guys, we saw in the playoffs, Glenn was willing to move to Paul Reed at certain matchups. But there is going to be 15 or 20 games where Joel Embiid does not play. Paul Reed cannot be your starter for those games. You need somebody better to start. Paul Reed's an energy guy, a 15-minute guy off the bench, whatever you want to call it. Montrezl Harrell can start those games that Joel Embiid does not play in. He's not going to give you the same offensive output, but he is going to give you plenty of great defensive output. Plenty of great defensive output.
He gives you a hell of a lot more offense. He's actually he's actually a semi bucket for his 6'8", big body kind of. He's more of a power forward, but he'll play center, whatever.
Pretty much his entire
career.
He
averaged 11.5 last year. Yeah. 5 boards.
That's Sixth Man of the Year award. He averaged 18.5 points that
game. Yeah, he's somewhat.
Yeah,
he's kind of a bucket. He can rim run. He can protect.
He doesn't shoot the three, which is fine.
No. He won't be on the perimeter at all.
He's an okay free throw shooter, right around 65-70%. Not great, not bad.
Right. He's going to be a great pair with James Harden on the floor, and everyone's getting. So you mentioned it. He can clearly start the games that Joel Embiid is going to miss. But let's talk about him just being a backup center, right? Everyone's so up in arms because they think, for some reason, people have this idea in their mind that he's either washed, like, oh, well, why'd he sign so late? Well, he signed so late because he had felony marijuana charges that were just recently played down to a misdemeanor last week. So that had to get cleared out first and foremost. This isn't we have such a bad taste in our mouth from DeAndre Jordan last year, and Doc nonstop playing him until he finally figured out the last 2 games of the season, right? This isn't that. Like, guys, go back to when Andre Drummond was here. Was Andre Drummond the young B-Ball Paul or Charles Bassey that everyone wanted? No, but it worked out pretty damn good. And some people didn't want to include him in the James Harden package. That's how good it was working out.
It was so good that some people want to bring him back this offseason.
Yes. Now they're so stylistically different. Trez is going to be a scorer. Drummond's going to clean up the glass, be a rim protector, kind of do stuff like that. But Trez is not. He's only 28 years old, I believe.
Well, he's 20. He's 28. He'll turn 29 midway through the season in January.
Okay, fine. He's not 37-year-old DeAndre Jordan, however hell the old DeAndre Jordan actually is. But he's not just going to score, Phil. He's going to bring like you talked about the energy that B-Ball Paul can bring off the bench. That's exactly what Montrezl Harrell's going to bring, plus physicality and toughness.
What did we talk about last year that this team lacked? Physicality and toughness.
Yeah, and you had that with PJ Tucker. Yeah,
and Montrezl Harrell. All of a sudden, the physicality is. It's fixed.
I
know you brought up to talk about GMs, and I think that'll be our topic tomorrow. Who's had a better offseason, Howie or Daryl Morey? But Daryl Morey has gone out and addressed every single issue this team has. Bench scoring, DeAndre Melton's here.
D'Anthony.
You got PJ Tucker. You've got now more guys that can score. Daniel House. You've addressed the physicality. This is why Glenn Rivers this year needs to earn that Doc title back from me. He is under the most pressure in the city because you are all in. Now, I've talked about timing and the timing in the NBA and the the Eastern Conference. It's tough. There's 4 or 5 really, really good teams in the Eastern Conference right now. But I don't think there's excuses. If Glenn Rivers cannot get this team to the playoffs or to the top 3 seeds and make a deep run, this is not. He gets eliminated the first or second round. He's gone. Anything less than an NBA title appearance, Glenn Rivers is gone because he has been given the team now. I don't think. Just say God forbid. Knock on wood. My desk is wood here. I swear it is. Say Joel Embiid goes down and misses 60 games.
Different.
That's not an excuse. If James Harden goes down and misses a significant amount of time, there is no excuses for Glenn Rivers this year. This is it. This is his last opportunity because this team is all in 100% right now.
Yeah, no, he is undoubtedly number one for all of the reasons that we've mentioned with the previous guys kind of combined, lumped into one, right? You have the winning culture. You've been trying to win a championship with Joel Embiid for the last 4 years or so right now, right? You've been a 50-plus win team. You've been a top 3 seed, the number 1 seed countless amount of a couple times. You've been right there, and he can't get over. He was brought in to get them over that hump where Brett Brown couldn't in that second round. That is yet to be accomplished. You have all the talent that has yet to be accomplished. Not to mention, he is under the smallest microscope by the fan base because of how unhappy they've been with his coaching styles and with his rotations and his shortcomings that you've seen in his previous years in Los Angeles. So you lump everything into one ball, and Doc is clearly the number one guy under the most pressure when you package winning, talent, and fan base expectations on you.
I think Scotty put it in our group DSM group chat. Maybe I know I saw him post, or maybe it was in our Hoopers Anonymous, basketball league chat about he doesn't think the Sixers are done. He thinks a trade's happening within the next couple days, and I could see it.
They have to. They have 17 guys right now on the roster. They have to trim that down to 15 by the time camp starts. So, but he's not talking about that. He's talking about a trade
for Jordan Clarkson, probably. It's probably what he's
potentially right. Which I don't think is going to happen anymore. I think that's kind of out the window, but we'll see.
I agree with Scotty to an extent where this is not a done. I don't think Tobias, I'm just going to say it now, Tobias Harris, guys, he's staying with this team. He is not going anywhere. Tobias Harris is being saved to either be an asset on this team, which I know that pisses people off, but Tobias Harris is an asset. He really is. He can score the ball. He's a great, that game that Joel and James Harden sit, he can go out and get you 25 points that game and carry your offense. He is an important person, but he's also being saved. God forbid Kevin Durant is available, or Bradley Beal is available, or somebody of that ilk is available that you need to match salaries with. Tobias Harris is here to be that third 4-star and also be that backup plan if one of those superstars that make big money become available at some point this season.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, but also for the fact we talked about what Daryl Morey was able to put together in this roster construction this offseason, dude. And it's fine. It just finally feels like what's been the problem at every trade deadline for the last 3 seasons, Phil? They need a couple things or they need a star. It's never just what this feels like an either finished product or the last piece of the puzzle, meaning a 3-point sniper, whatever the case. They're set up to where when it gets to February and that deadline, they need one minor move to polish up this roster.
And I kind of feel like maybe that's why maybe a trade doesn't happen at this point. You say Matisse is a trade asset, Shake Milton, Jaden Springer,
whatever draft picks you have left. Yeah.
Can we talk about Furkan Korkmaz for a second? I didn't even get to bring that up the other day. Getting attacked by Georgian police and basketball players. Dude, Furkan, we didn't even need to bring in Montrezl Harrell to be that toughness. We got the toughest Michael Jordan in the league. In Furkan Korkmaz, man.
Poor Furk, bro. No security. They just let him get attacked.
No, he attacked them. Let's
he came out and gave them buckets the next night, apparently.
Exactly. Who knew Furkan Korkmaz was the tough guy that he is? Yeah.
I'm still okay with Furk not being here, but
yeah, I agree. But deep down inside, I'm a Furkan guy, just because I don't know. I love the fact that Furkan is a bottom level team, talent wise guy. He's the 12 on a championship team. He should never be better than the 12th most talented guy on your team. Okay. But he plays with the confidence of Michael Jordan every time he touches the ball. He literally,
you know what it is with him? You know what it is with him? He is that bad taste in my mouth that I can't get out from he is the Vince Velasquez, Nick Pivetta of the Phillies to me.
I wouldn't put him that low.
He is I'm not going to say Jalen Reagor, but he's just that bad taste that you just want to move on from, and you feel like nothing good is going to come until he's not on this team any longer. I really can't take it, man. And we all know what's coming this season. He'll get his shot because guys are struggling, or Isaiah Joe gets a shot. He doesn't take it. Furk comes in. He bangs 4 threes one night. Oh my God, Furk's back. And then he is completely and utterly unplayable the next time he steps on the court. And we're just pulling our hair out again. It's bound to happen. If there was a bet on DraftKings that you could put on Furkan Korkmaz making you yank hairs out of your head this year, take the over.
All right. So back to the point. Glenn Rivers, most pressure of all of it. Is there a scenario in your head that anything that X plays out X way, that he is not even the head coach for the full entire season?
No, because I think they're going to be good, really good. So
Yeah, but again, the Bucks are really good. The Celtics are really
Yeah,
good.
that doesn't matter to me though. Like
Good. I
even
don't
if
buy the Cavs. A lot of people are buying the Cavs now. I don't. But
mhm.
the Cavs, you got the Hawks are better. Is there a scenario where we're struggling? Like there was a point last year we were like the 5th or 6th seed. Midway through
Yeah,
the season,
no, I mean,
we're struggling. We're the 6th seed halfway through the season. He's not. He's not on the hot seat that early. It just comes to how the season plays out. Then at the end of the season, a decision is made.
the 6 seed's a little bit of a stretch for me, but I'll say like if they are a 4 or a 5 seed halfway through, that could still equal like on pace for a 50 to 56 win season.
Mm.
Because of how talented, like just because like what were we last year? The 4 seed? Right? I believe we were the 4 seed last year. And we had over 50 wins. Like just because the Bucks go for 60 and the Celtics get 59 and the Heat go for 57, if the Sixers finish with 54 wins, that's a great season.
Mm-hmm.
But they still might be the 4 or 5 seed because of what the other teams were able to do in the regular season. So no, I don't think there's any pressure mid-season or any way that Doc's not here come playoff time.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the Eagles then. Who now I've got Nick Sirianni as 3 on the list. You had him
Yeah,
at
I
2,
agree.
I believe.
No. I've Curtin at 2, Nick at 3.
Okay, Nick at 3. I just think we both disagreed a little bit on why. Because I said there's really no pressure on Nick Sirianni. I just couldn't put him below Curtin or Tortorella. That it's almost guaranteed in my mind Nick Sirianni is the head coach this year and next year. Because if anything bad goes wrong this year, it's pretty much all the blame is going to be put on Jalen Hurts. And he is going to – they're going to find another quarterback, and he will get another season with a new quarterback. Am I on pace to the right thread there with that?
Yeah, no, you're right in terms of – see, that's the thing. I think we're looking at this list in maybe 2 different ways. So, like, kind of similar. Like, I'm not excluding the career factor, like when we talk about Rob Thompson, but I'm not totally looking at it as it's pressure because he's fighting for his job. I'm more so looking at it pressure from the fan base, pressure to win, right? So Nick Sirianni at 3 for me. Yes, even if they struggle this year, if somehow, some way they tank, Jalen Hurts is not the guy. They only win 6 or 7 games, miss the playoffs, right? Come 3rd in the division. Jalen Hurts will be the odd man out. Nick Sirianni will still be here. However, he is 3rd on my list for pressure because of everything we've already discussed. This is a football town. So the Eagles, in terms of expectations and pressure, are always going to be number 1, right?
Agreed.
So when you're the head coach of that team, you're up higher for me. This roster, we just talked about how great of a roster the Sixers have. We know how talented and how good the Union are. This roster, it might be the best roster, might be the most talented team in the city, barring one question mark at the quarterback position. So if that turns out to be correct, there's going to be more pressure on Nick Sirianni. So just in terms of fan expectation, in terms of winning, yes, Nick Sirianni is 3 on my list for pressure. In terms of being the head coach here next year, 0.5%, like maybe like the smallest percentage you could muster up.
Should we though? Because we just talked about Daryl Morey going all in and giving Doc Rivers all of this. Every problem this team had, he has addressed it in some form. Well, Howie Roseman's done the same thing for Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
Except for one position, the question mark at quarterback.
Right.
He's gone out and addressed the edge rushing position. He's gone out and addressed safety. He's gone out and added an extra wide receiver, elite wide receiver. He's drafted another great defensive tackle. I mean, linebacker improved in the draft and in free agency. Like, he has legitimately gone out and improved every single spot on this team. I mean, we're talking, jokingly, it's another dream team type scenario, but legitly speaking, we've talked, me and you on this show before, top 5, top 10 defense now.
Right.
We've talked about top 3 wide receiver duo in football, best offensive line in football. Like, there's multiple position categories that we are in the top 5 in football in now. So should there be more pressure on Nick Sirianni than there is?
Yeah, well, that's why I have him at 3, because of the overall roster. However, you can't. It's not the same as Doc, because there are 0 question marks in terms of the 76ers outside of staying healthy. Doc has Joel Embiid, right?
True.
Nick has Jalen Hurts, who if that's his Joel Embiid, he's a question mark. So, and he's the conductor of this train. He's the one that's going to make this thing go. And if that guy struggles, then the whole thing's going to go down. So that's not really on Nick, right? Whereas Doc, you have Joel Embiid, you have James. There are no excuses for Doc. So, but that's why I do have Nick at 3 because of the overall roster and the expectation to win this year. And it's one of the more crazier things I've seen, man. Me and you could sit here last year. You could wind the clock back 365 days heading into week 1. And as an Eagles fan last year, I just went through the emotions, man. Like I went into week 1. Yeah, excited that football was back, excited that the Eagles were back, but just little to no expectations on what they were going to do last year. And it sucked because normally I'm rah loud at the TV, and I just kind of sat there. They scored a touchdown. Oh yeah, cool. Because I knew nothing was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Fast forward 365 days. This team is a legit contender, barring what the QB is. So now everything's changed in 1 year's time, which speeds up the coach's timeline now.
Yeah.
So if Nick was at 4 last year or 5 last year, he's up to 3 now because of how quickly this roster elevated.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm just trying to bring the other side of the argument into the equation here. I agree. Third, I don't think there's any way he loses his job. I'm just trying to, think about it in a different way. What if Jalen Hurts comes out and starts throwing 250 yards a game, throwing touchdowns, darts, but yet we're still losing?
Well,
whether it's the defense, whether it's simple mistakes, whether you see, this team, maybe it's the team is super slow starting and we come out. I mean, I know George has said it before. He thinks I think he said like 0-2 or 0-3 is a legit possibility.
He said 0-3 and
then we turn it on. It's Nick Sirianni that instituted this much more, I don't want to use the term lazy, but softer approach to the off season and getting ready for the season. Is there a scenario where George is right? We go 0-3 to start the season.
No. Can I tell you something?
On Nick Sirianni.
George and I have actually agreed on a decent amount of things this offseason when it comes to the Eagles. This is one we greatly disagree on. And I know he's not saying it's going to happen. He's just saying it's a possibility. Yeah. There is a negative % chance of a possibility. Now we have 2 different definitions of a slow start this year for the Eagles. Right. If you want to talk about their short practices, not tackling the ground, everything you want to do like that, the players not really playing the preseason, slow start to me equals some missed tackles, the offense not looking as crisp early on, still beating the Lions. Yes, it's not going to be a walk in the park, but still beating the Lions after a slow start, right? Mm-hmm. Washington, maybe still considered a slow start, win that game in Washington. And again, not a walk in the park, but there is 0.000% chance they start 0-3 or 0-2 or 1-3.
See, I disagree when you start wearing the face of your quarterback. T-shirt gate. We're bringing T-shirt gate back into play. I thought T-shirt gate was over. I agree with what you're saying there, George, actually, 100%. I'm just trying to find a scenario where Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat. Not that I want him to be, not that I think he will be. I'm just trying to find a scenario where he is on a hotter seat than we give it credit for.
So can I ask you a question? We talked all offseason about how Howie Roseman, and I tweeted this out the other day, a player, coach, GM, etc., has not gone from higher on my shit list to someone I believe and have hope and have faith in this city quicker in a shorter time than Howie Roseman has, right? Nick Sirianni is a damn close second. Like we completely forget about how up in arms we were about the things he would say in press conferences, about his T-shirts, Absolutely. His pandering, about his stupid freaking flower speeches, and always talking. I ripped him so many times talking about his brother coaching high school football, and that's where he gets some of this stuff from. And I'm like, Nick, you can't be serious, dude. And like this,
everybody's in love with him.
He's one. Well, I like it. Like, and part of the reason is I think he, besides like wearing the T-shirts, I get all that. But he showed that he can adjust he showed improvements the second half of last year. And he, more than anybody, was the reason that the Eagles made the playoffs last year, in my opinion, because of the way he was able to switch things up.
He showed improvement as a coach by being able to. It wasn't even made like a big deal. Like, I don't remember talking about it once on a show that he gave up play calling duty to Shane Steichen.
Yeah.
Like, that shows confidence in yourself as a leader of a team. What I'm doing isn't working, And
there were also reports that he had to give the talk to Jonathan Gannon last year on one or two occasions. And I think that played a role also in him giving up play calling duties, not only because it wasn't working as well as it could have been, but he had to micromanage the entire team more as a whole than he would have liked to focus specifically on the offensive duties.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. Real quick, before we continue on with this Eagles talk, I do have it queued up here. I'm sure you saw or heard the clip of my man Howie Roseman yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Did you hear this clip? I queued it up. My man Chris Wilde, he's a wrestler, but he's also an Eagles podcaster. I'm stealing this from his YouTube page, but I'm going to play this really quickly here for you guys.
Start to wonder how you came up with Rager over Jefferson. Do you try to make sure you don't do the same kind of thing the next time? Take us into your mindset on what happened with Rager.
Yeah, I think one of my many weaknesses is that I spend more time thinking about my mistakes than I do any of the successes that we may have had. I think it continually motivates me to get better. And so whenever we do something like that, I go back and I look at the process and how we came to that decision. And, listen, it's obvious, I'm not going to sit here and lie that we'd love to have that moment back. Now, I believe.
Start to wonder how you came up with Rager over Jefferson. Do you try to make sure you don't do the same kind of thing the next time? Take us into your mindset on what happened with Rager.
Yeah, I think one of my many weaknesses is that I spend more time thinking about my mistakes.
All right, that was my man Howie Roseman, basically admitting his mistake.
So I'm slightly joking here, but I'm not. He admitted, and he said it's a pick we would like to have back. I like that. Well, first of all, he admitted it by moving on from Rager already. Problem is Howie used the word "we" multiple times in that little scene.
That's a good catch. It's a good catch.
And if memory serves correct, from all the reports that came out about that in the War Room film, we, meaning scouts, the football people in the building, knew who to take. And Howard himself was the one to pull the trigger on that one. So yes, he admitted mistake. He moved on from it. I'm glad.
That was the only clip I could find that was already done. But if you listen to the whole interview, he says a few other things. And one of them being, he's got, I don't know if he said we. He may have said we. I didn't catch on it. So
I'm sure he did.
He said, got to stop picking for certain roles and just take the best player.
Thank you.
That was something good that I heard. And you see that in the last 2 years of the draft, taking Devontae Smith, this year taking Jordan Davis and Cam
J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Yeah, you're not, seeing him reach for guys based off of one like Davian Taylor. Well, they reached for him because he was a fast guy. Well, guess what? He's not on the team anymore. You know what I mean? So you're seeing that he's learning from his mistakes to an extent. Now, again, I didn't pick up on the we till just now. So now everything that I had planned to say, I'm rethinking it.
He's already admitted the mistake by moving on from him. It's something I didn't think he was going to do, but he's done that, and he did that with the J-Jaw thing too. The only thing, if George is talking about like how the Vikings had Rager and Jefferson next to each other and they just got lucky, I mean, they didn't get lucky because there's literally video of them laughing at the Eagles selection of Jalen Rager. So, like, they knew who they wanted, and clearly they were right. I don't think it had anything to do with luck, if that's what he's talking about, that Justin Jefferson panned out the way he did over Jalen Rager.
Yeah.
Okay. They laughed at the Eagles for making the selection. There's video of it. So what they weren't going to take Rager over Jefferson? I'm confused here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm questioning everything now. It's just a refreshing thing. Whether he said we or I or whatever he said, it's refreshing to see him admit some form of mistake and some form of accountability in himself. I really think that's something that's great to see.
Go on all ear, George. I don't know what you want me to say. When the pick was made, there is video leaked of them laughing at the Eagles. Spielman can say whatever he wants after the fact. They mocked the Eagles for the pick. I don't know what he wanted to do, but clearly the Vikings as a whole, their scouting department, knew where to go if they mock you for the pick. So I don't know what you want me to say.
Spielman, everything is hindsight. Like after the fact, they'll say whatever they have to say. But I would have loved to have seen what they had said in that war room before the draft.
And I'm not saying Jalen Reagor wasn't the next wide receiver on the list, but clearly there was a gap between the two, and rightfully so. If what happened over the last 2 years has been the thing.
Yeah. Do you think here's a great point by Scotty? He couldn't do that when Reagor was here. Do you think Howie just couldn't wait to get that all off his chest? As soon as he's like, as soon as he created Reagor, he's like, dude, I got to get on a radio show somewhere and say something because I can't wait to clear my just clear my conscience of that mistake right there. Well, that's what everybody does. Everybody cherry picks. You might be too.
No, all I'm saying is I don't know, dude, I'm not behind the scenes in Minnesota. I know what was put out there. So if Minnesota is laughing at the Eagles for the selection, which did happen, they clearly knew the route they wanted to go. So it was not a 1A, 1B conversation. Spielman, it could have been the same thing with him and Howie, but Minnesota was going to trust their scouts and take Justin Jefferson if they had that pick.
Everyone does not get high fives in war rooms. I'm sure we've all seen the video enough times of Howie trying to high five. What's his name? Donahue. What was his name? And him getting all pissed off and walking away from. So not everybody gets high fives in the war room.
What is happening? They did laugh. It's on video. I don't care what Spielman said after.
Let me see if I can find the video real quick. Vikings laugh after Reagor selected. Let's see if I can find it.
Someone just brought it up after they traded him to Minnesota.
The first thing that pops up is a Vikings thing. Reagor was the pick laughed at by the Vikings' old leadership regime. Nope. Now, see, everything's popping up about the Vikings trading for Reagor right now. So I got to try to do a little deeper dive here and see what I could find.
Vikings laugh at Eagles draft pick. Here, let's see.
I might have something here. Hold on.
Yeah,
Hold on.
Sitting there.
He's going to take.
I think I might have it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one. But now you're cherry picking though. So now you don't care if the whole war room laughed at him, but because Spielman said one thing after the fact, that means they knew who they're
literally laughing. I'm watching it right now.
No, but he's saying he doesn't care that they laughed. He cares what Spielman said. I don't care what Spielman said after the fact. I care that they laughed because they knew.
Sports Illustrated viewed the original.
Did it already change videos?
Yeah, it did.
I don't know. Forget that. Forget the shared screen. Look, we get the point. And now I got to go read all these comments that have been filing in here.
He was the one making the pick, but he would have listened to his scouts. If Howie would have listened to his scouts, Justin Jefferson would have been an Eagle.
I don't know what's been more entertaining this week, Dylan and George going at it right now, or me firing up Jason on Rob Thompson, where he actually looked like he blew a blood vessel in his eye.
You did that again?
Oh yeah, twice this week actually. I've made him blow. I don't know what's funnier. As the guy sitting back and watching this, what's better? Me watching you two battle or everybody else watching me and Jason battle?
I'm assuming a lot. I don't know, man. I just watched video evidence of them laughing at the picks. I don't know what I'm assuming. I don't know.
All right, so back to the point of this guy. I don't even know why I went to just wait, George. Tomorrow's topic is Howie Roseman versus Daryl Morey. So we're gonna have a lot of Howie Roseman conversation tomorrow as we start to get set. Plus,
oh yeah,
obviously Bills versus Rams. We'll preview that game. But back to the point of it all.
Yeah,
GM
because everything that GM say is the truth. Everything that Howie Roseman has always
Didn't
said
Howie
has been the
Roseman
truth.
say that Jalen Reagor was an important part of this team?
Right. Wait, hold on.
Before
Before trading Jalen Reagor, when him and Sirianni spoke, they asked him how Reagor made the team, and they said basically because he tried hard. That was their response to Jalen Reagor. And then they traded him like a day and a half later. So what GM say isn't always the truth. Watching people it wasn't a smile. They didn't smile at the Eagles pick. They laughed and mocked it on camera, not facial expressions. I don't even know why we're talking about this because I love the offseason Howie Roseman had. I'm just talking about the fact.
Fantastic. I think I'm going to try to make up a graphic like this cool one with Howie Roseman on one side, Daryl Morey on the other side, with everything that they both did, and we'll.
Oh yeah, you're getting good at this, my dude.
I'm trying. So, would you do like this graphic right here? I mean,
I do.
Put a whole 5 minutes into this graphic last night.
Yeah,
5 minutes. In the course of an hour, I made like 10 new graphics. I got all my fantasy football graphics for the week preset and ready to go.
Look at you.
Let's recap this. Glenn Rivers 1, Rob Thompson 2, Nick Sirianni 3, John Tortorella 4, Jim Curtin 5 for me. You had Glenn Rivers. You had Curtin 2, Sirianni 3,
Thompson 4,
Tortorella 5.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we're all off on this somehow? And is Nick Sirianni should be higher on this list? Should Rob Thompson be 1? Is there pressure on Jim Curtin to be number 1 since he's got the best team in the city right now? Are we off at all on this list?
Well, I think definitively number 1 is locked in. Like I think we could poll every fan in this city that's a fan of all 5 teams, and they would probably agree. Yeah, good back and forth, George. No, it's fun. What's the name? That they would agree that Doc Rivers is 1. After that, I think it's all up for just kind of opinion, and a lot of it would come down to how much of a fan that person is by team. Like if one is head over heels for the Eagles and they like the Phillies because they live in Philadelphia, but they don't watch the Phillies. Well, Nick Sirianni is going to be a lot higher than Rob Thompson is on that list.
I agree with you on that. And I think, this is the year where Glenn has to earn that Doc title back.
Glenn's got to earn a lot of things back. Glenn's got to stop getting snippy with the media when he's wrong.
I still feel there's a scenario where Glenn Rivers does not make it through the season.
Really?
I really do. That's how much pressure he's on. I know.
I don't, just because I think they're going to be successful. Like I think that a change like that only comes with failure or losing, and I really don't think that's on the table, at least in the regular season for the Sixers. They could have another second round collapse. But I don't think a regular season.
Said earlier, and we didn't even bring it up. Where was it? I gotta go through all these George comments. They have to make the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't even think that's enough. I think they got to make the NBA Finals for him to be safe next year.
It's let me ask you this: what if they are in Miami's shoes from this past season? They are a 3-point shot away in a Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals that goes in or doesn't go in the other way. Yeah, that's a tough bring back, but
it's a tough decision to make there.
It just depends who you lose to and how you lose in an Eastern Conference series.
I think that matters who you lose to and how you lose, and making the playoffs or not making the playoffs with all 5 of those teams.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it meant Jim Curtin. You say there's pressure on Jim Curtin. He lost in the championship game last year, but he lost because he had 9 guys on a COVID.
Let me ask you, run it back with the Eagles. If the Eagles make the playoffs, but they lose by 35 again, what's that?
First round or the second round? If they win the first round and then lose by 35 in the second round, you know what I mean? Right. It's a step forward, and then the brakes just get put on. I don't know. I think you have to judge it at the end of the year based
For
off of all
sure.
those scenarios. This is just a talking point to create the conversation.
There
And I
you
think
go.
it created quite the conversation today.
It created a conversation that had nothing to do with the original conversation.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
just,
That's the point.
it was
You
just
always
so
have to
far
have a
over
starting-
here.
You have to have a starting point, and then you just
Yeah.
see where it goes. That's what happens here on Trending in the AM. Again, if you're watching the show, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. Share it out. Tell your friends. Say something. I don't know. I don't care what you do. Make sure you tell everybody to watch Trending in the AM Monday through Friday right here, 8:30 a.m. on DSM Media. I am Phil Stiefel. That's Dylan Davis there next to me. We'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, getting ready for Thursday Night Football. Football's back tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Howie versus Daryl. We got lots to go into tomorrow. So we'll be back right here tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Don't miss it. Yo, everybody have a great day. Go Birds, I guess.
Ring the bell.
Doop.